Despite coming to be associated with cringe, terrible fan art, more cringe, and unspeakable horror, I still hold a special place in my heart for the Sonic the Hedgehog games. I grew up with the series. It was one of the initial things that really got me into the idea of lore, and being interested in fictional settings. I read that Archie Universe encyclopedia till the binding was coming loose. Although, as a kid, I always recall being bummed out that there was no additional media outside of the games that really reflected their aesthetic. I know a direct translation could be a bit awkward, but I'm talking about the general vibe. The music, bright visuals, and boundless world where it feels as if anything could be around the corner. I'm not dissing all of these shows based on it. I watched most of the animated series and dug them for what they were at the time, but while my memories of it are vague, I do remember there being one thing that did manage to satisfy me in that regard. The Sonic the Hedgehog OVA is brought to us by Studio Pero, a company whose work dates all the way back to 1980. I'm sure you've at least heard of some of their output: Yu Yu Hakusho, Black Clover, Boruto, Ghost Stories.
I like his sister. She's one hot chulo.
I know that you're gay. You'll like this, someone's on my ass.
But for OVA nuts like me, you'd know them for Lilycat. The production was supervised by Sega, back when they gave a fuck, and was primarily led by Kazunori Ikegami, the director and storyboard artist. And he also did a few projects I've never seen or heard of. Cool, gotta check those out. The OVA was originally released in two separate parts in 1996, but is more commonly known as Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie for the combined US release in 1999. To this day, this is my favorite piece of Sonic-related media outside of the games, without a doubt. It's not perfect, but for an animated movie based on Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know. I think it's pretty good, and I really do think it's one of the better video game adaptations out there in terms of encapsulating what I like about the games. It's fast, colorful, the characters are full of energy for better or worse. Look, I can't deny I have nostalgia for the games and this OVA, but I do think the movie has legitimate merit for what it is. Now, before I get into the plot, keep in mind it isn't in canon with the games, but it's the same basic lore and feel. The key difference is, unlike the games, the wider setting here is more defined. Our story begins on planet Freedom, which is composed of two-dimensional planes. The land of the sky is home to a multitude of floating continents, but the planet's true surface is the land of darkness, a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Sonic and Tails are established heroes in the land of the sky, having clashed with Eggman many times before, and they are also acquainted with the President and his catgirl daughter, Sarah. Eggman is holding said cat people hostage, and asks Sonic to deal with Black Eggman, a robot who came out of nowhere and took over Eggman Land, who he definitely didn't build, even though they have the same name and motifs. Of course, this is all part of Eggman's plan, and the story doesn't insult your intelligence pretending it's not. Even the characters don't trust him worth a shit.
Someone tell me why I should trust Robotnik when 99 out of 100 times he's lying.
But what if this is that one other time?
So what's really happening is that Eggman has built Hyper Metal Sonic, and it'll be a truly perfect copy once he attains the necessary data about Sonic by having him deal with this whole Metal Robotnik generator disaster hoax. Now Eggman's true plan is revealed: mass genocide, which honestly isn't new for him, runs in the family as well. Can Sonic defeat Dr. Eggman, overcome Metal, and save the day?
Yes!
The story is nothing amazing, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's Sonic. I'm not expecting anything too complex or wild. Well, except Sonic Adventure 2, I guess. You know, the one where Eggman's granddad is trying to wipe out the human race because they killed his niece. So he uses his lizard monster that was somehow the precursor to this guy to drag his space colony down and wipe out the Earth. You know, which he developed to cure her space aids. But the plot in the OVA is still some good fun. It's fast-paced, very action-packed, and most of the dialogue is enjoyable. I'll also give it credit for this: there's no Chaos Emeralds or Master Emerald. And you know what? I like that. I know they're important, but man, I can't remember a single Sonic-related story I checked out recently that doesn't involve these fucking things, or something like them. And look, I love me some shiny, multicolored jewels, but it is refreshing to see this story explore some other aspects of the lore. Although, not gonna lie, I would have liked to see these animators' interpretation of one of these special stages. At the end of the day, what do you want from a Sonic OVA? Well, the same thing I want from the games. Some high-speed fun in a world I find cool, and I want to talk about that world. It's one of the cooler things about the movie. When I say this OVA is an adaptation, I mean more so of the overall feel. It's not adapting any specific story. The games released up to this point were Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and whatever spin-offs in between.
Let me get this straight. They made a game based off of a TV show that was based off of a game.
The setting here seems to take a little influence from each of those main four. The Land of the Sky, from what we see, is almost like an entire world of Angel Islands. A beautiful, vibrant, and bright tropical place that captures the same upbeat energy as Green or Emerald Hill. I like Sonic's Island too, with the hangar and launch pad for the tornado that has his name on it, which again feels very in line with the games. All of the tech, structures, and other characters like Old Man Owl feel like they match up aesthetically. Even if some of these designs aren't straight out of any title, they wouldn't feel out of place in them. Also, what is it with Sonic having an owl buddy in the movies? Where's Uncle Chuck? Hell, they even threw in some springs and spikes in this montage where Sonic and Tails run through the Land of Darkness, which is one of my favorite scenes. We get more of the Land of Darkness, which is more akin to a bad future out of Sonic CD. In fact, the ruined city here looks a wee bit like a snippet of a cut level we got in that game's outro. The whole place is heavily implied to be a post-apocalyptic Earth. Now, this kind of thing is sort of overdone now in my opinion, but here it's just a cool background detail for you to pick up on. Eggman Land also looks straight out of a CD bad future, and it having a giant neon wireframe Eggman is fucking phenomenal. Every villain needs something like that on their cyberpunk city. I like that these ruinous elements are simply there, and that it's never expounded upon too deeply. Like this is truly the world these people live in, that's just as mysterious to them as it is to us. It's also cool how distinct the Land of the Sky and Darkness feel, despite still being part of the same world. And I do wonder why you need these wormholes to access one or the other. They're definitely part of the same planet, but it's almost as if they were separated by some force. I mean, I doubt the creators were putting that much thought into this. I think about this kind of shit way more than most people. The writer was probably just like, oh, okay, Sonic OVA, yeah. Well, sometimes stuff is bright and sometimes not, so dark and light world, duh, yeah. God, I wish I was working on that dating show the company's making, but no. Instead, I'm stuck with fucking Sonic. A kid, of course. A lot of people in that position might have that kind of attitude, but these OVAs would take these weird and goofy ideas and actually try and execute them well and make something interesting. It's why even a Sonic OVA can have a setting that actually was able to draw me in, but that's also because I like Sonic. It helps that the animation depicting it all is solid. My only nitpick is the texturing can be a little flat sometimes, but that's usually in the high-speed segments with characters in motion, which is perfectly understandable. If there's one thing they captured about the games, it's the speed. For one, it's paced very well at little under an hour, and I never felt it dragging. It keeps a constant flow of cool sequences, moody atmosphere, high-octane fights. It's all consistently fluid, while knowing when to slow it down so you can appreciate all of these environments, which, in general, look very nice. I mean, you have your more generic woods and stuff here and there, but they've still got some flourish to them. In anime, I can't get enough of texture and grit, which this one delivers on, but it's a particularly appealing mix of cartoony and detailed. The characters are often simpler, but their movements and the environments they populate are more complex. Plus, they're plenty expressive as well. My favorite aesthetic is stuff that's colorful and a little stylized, but drawn with more detailed shading, texturing, and motions. 80s and 90s anime being the best example of what I mean. Hell, this OVA can even pull off a decently moody atmosphere with these ruined cities. We get a mixture of a few different kinds of themes: natural, old ruins, vaguely cyberpunk, Again, something the games offer as well. Sure, it would have been cool to see Green Hill or Chemical Plant actually animated, but I enjoy this approach as well. Something unique that's still able to capture the same feeling I appreciate. Even though you're mostly zipping around, there's still a few calm moments, which surprisingly the team pulls off really well too. You have this quiet little scene after Sonic is defeated by Metal where he wakes up in this forest meadow. Kinda reminds me of some scenes in Princess Mononoke. One of the many comparisons I never thought I'd make between something and Sonic, but here we are. Going back to Sonic CD, I remember seeing the animated intro for that and wishing, man, I want a whole cartoon like this. And the OVA is not as good in sheer quality as that short, but it's as close as anything got. In fact, there were a lot of moments that reminded me of Sonic CD. I already mentioned Eggman Land, but also some of Sonic's movements here seem pretty similar to that cutscene. He even does the peel out infinity loop legs, look at that. It's honestly hard to pick a favorite action sequence. All of them are fun in their own way. You've got the opening with Sonic trying to stop Old Man Owl and Tails from crashing, the 2 bouts against Metal, but the fight against Black Eggman or Metal Robotnik is my favorite. Also, I gotta say, I do prefer Metal Robotnik as a name because he's not black in any way, unless you count these little spots. So what, am I fucking Blue Nate now? The fight is cool. Black Eggman feels like a real threat. I mean, he's shooting them with actual bullets. You don't get that much in Sonic. It takes Knuckles coming in and helping to bring it down. Although the ass glue cannon is dumb, because otherwise it's an actually intimidating and cool design with the demonic motifs. Yeah, the comedy isn't great. I mean, I find most of it inoffensive or goofily endearing, but it's definitely going to be one of the major factors that I could see turning people off from watching this. Sarah is by far the most overtly annoying because her defining character trait is bitching. Funny considering she's a cat. The scene where she's playing video games with Eggman was okay, but I can't think of any other bit she was involved in where I wouldn't start mentally tuning it out.
Show. I begged you!
You crushed it!
Also, I dig the characters, but the dub doesn't do them a lot of favors. And sadly, it's the most easily accessible version by far. Sega has said they can't allow for a re-release despite interest, because they lost a bunch of documentation they need. Yet another reason for me to play this clip.
Fuck you, Sega. Fuck you, Sega. Fuck you, Sega. Fuck you, Sega. Fuck you, Sega.
I'm tolerant to bad dubs, but Tails' voice is pushing it.
Sonic! I finally finished it! See, isn't it great? It's a jet-propelled bodyboard. Come on, you want to try it out?
No.
He sounds so dumb I almost feel sorry for him. It's like if Tommy Pickles stuck a fork in an outlet. What, I mean, is he supposed to be Rain Man? He's underdeveloped in some fields but a super savant with others? If you can find it, I'd recommend the Japanese version. Although in both versions, the characters do the very Japanese exposition where they tell you aloud what you're seeing.
It's a robot that looks exactly like Sonic!
Thanks, guys, I'm not blind. Plus, even though the dub is meh, I still like Sonic's voice in it quite a lot.
Metal has to still be around here somewhere. Duh?
Before I get any further into the characters, I want to highlight something Sonic has always excelled in. The music. What saddens me is this is one of the only things the composer Mitsuhiro Tada did of major note. I mean, he helped with the theme songs for popular shows, but only the theme songs, and not even that many. And it sucks because his work here is another thing contributing to it feeling like the games in terms of vibe. Most of these tracks sound like they came straight out of Sonic CD, which is great because that soundtrack is fire. But damn, just starting with South Island, which kicks it off, you've got this excellent saxophone, and the whole thing reflects the island's sort of mellow feel perfectly. Seriously, it really sounds like I'm going through a zone right now. Like I'm hearing tracks for game levels that never existed, or... Oh, no, sorry, that's just the schizophrenia. But with the Land of the Sky theme, you can't tell me there aren't some similarities with Title Tempest Good Future. The track Rushing to Eggman Land also has some slightly similar sounding effects. And then you have Look-alike, the main theme, which certainly reminds you where Tada's main talents lie. South Island Man is the best, though. I'm definitely going to be bumping this when I'm going behind the corner store to, not buy crack. Look, man, the editing manpower's gotta be fueled by something, okay? Also, I didn't know that South Island is a location mentioned in the original Sonic the Hedgehog manual until now, so that's cool. So anyway, how is Sonic in this Sonic movie? Well, I like how they depicted him here. Sonic is supposed to have attitude. I mean, it's in his theme song.
Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he's got an attitude. Sonic, he's mentally imbalanced. Who the fuck said that?
He's a little bit of a jerk here, but in a way where it's more on the endearing side. His introduction is the best example. He's dismissive of Tails overall and simply wants to chill, but once someone's in danger, he locks in and gets to it. It's more extreme when he's willing to risk the world getting destroyed, although...
There will be a giant explosion! Bullshit, artist!
He was right. It was all a hoax, so even if he had risked it... Yeah, never mind, I guess. Sonic did nothing wrong. Tails I already commented on, but in Japanese he's okay. Probably the most accurate to the games in that he's a kid who likes to tinker with stuff, although winds up in trouble enough and sometimes needs saving. Knuckles is interesting, because he's different from his game counterpart with the lack of Master Emerald, but him being a treasure hunter is kinda like what they did with him in Sonic Adventure. It makes sense, you know? His gameplay in 3 and K was more about exploration than speed, so it feels like a natural evolution for his character. Instead of being up in the land of the sky where you'd expect, he's a scavenger exploring the land of darkness. But I still find that to be a cool reinvention, while still keeping in line with the core of the character. Except he's also not a dunce. Still a little hot-headed, sure, which I like, but he's not a bumbling idiot. He even gives the group useful info regarding Eggman's plan, whereas Knuckles in the games is so gullible you could get him to believe anything. Also, I like that they gave him a cowboy hat, which matches well with his kinda Indiana Jones nomad thing he's got going on. At first, when he showed up, I thought he was gonna be a quick guest character, like, hey, here's Knuckles. You wanna see more of him? Go buy the game. But nah, he stays, and I was pleasantly surprised. These side characters are mostly there to be goofy, and aside from Sarah, they're fine in that regard. I like Eggman's robot henchmen especially, and I dig how they look like swap bots from the comics. I loved those guys. You will be missed. Eggman himself was always one of my favorite villains growing up. Now, in the games, I think he's become too bumbling to the point where he's a joke of a character, and he's also pretty damn bumbling in this too, but they balance that out by giving him some actual wins. His plan is downright diabolical as well. He wants to melt the ice caps, which will destabilize the continents and blast them into space, killing everyone in the process so he can rebuild the planet in his image. But that's not even the most fucked up part, because he wants to use Sarah to repopulate. Yeah.
Not too much.
You have a seat right on the stool there.
Now, I'm gonna give him some benefit of the doubt and assume this girl is freshly 18, as in her birthday was like yesterday, because, well, otherwise, still, that's cutting it kinda close, man. How old is Eggman anyway? Well, fuck. What about Sarah? I mean, I guess as long as neither has a defined age, but Eggman, dude, you're making this tough for me. This being a post-apocalypse also has some interesting implications regarding him being the last human, but I hate how much they show his eyes, as much as I hated it in Sonic 06. But you know who they did perfectly? Metal Sonic. Sorry, Hyper Metal Sonic in this one. As with Knuckles, this is a pretty cool take on him. The angle here is he's programmed with not just Sonic's movement data, but his brain patterns as well so he can outthink him. But this ends up manifesting in other ways as well. Tails Tails corrupts his data during the final battle to have Sonic's personality come into play. So when the dumbass Catman president crashes into the ice caps, and shit is about to go down, Metal is the one who ends up springing in to save him. And look, as I've said, the story isn't anything special, but there's a shockingly good character moment to cap off the whole thing. Metal ends up getting damaged and falls into the spilling magma. And Sonic rushes in to try and save him, despite everyone else telling him not to. Finally, Metal is the one to tell him to bug off. Not deep or anything, but damn, that actually kinda made me feel something. Now you may ask why Sonic was so dedicated to saving Metal, but it's clearly because he was taken aback. I mean, he now knows that this thing is pretty much him mentally. Would you let a copy of yourself die? Well, I would because I wouldn't trust him. So the OVA ends on a fun enough note. Sonic is mourning the loss of Metal, but gets interrupted by Knuckles paying him back for stepping on him earlier. A chase ensues with everyone involved, as they all run off towards their next adventure. Now, obviously, I like this OVA because I like Sonic, and if you don't, yeah, I can't see you getting as into this one. The humor can be grating, and if you don't find some charm like me in the characters, you're gonna hate this shit, and I really can't blame anyone who does. It's a particular kind of cartoony which not everyone will vibe with. I do think though that the visuals and sound design are genuinely good, and it's a shame these people didn't have more expansive careers. I would have loved to see this become a wider series or be continued in some way. But hey, I'm just happy stuff like this exists at all. As I mentioned, Sega being Sega can't get an official re-release going, but come on. You can still watch it if you're not a piracy pussy. If they won't give me a way to buy it, screw them.
You might know everything I'm going to do, but that's not going to help you since I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it?